Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Trading Options Network. As always, let's get this disclaimer out of the way. Everything we talk about today is going to be my opinion only. It's not the opinion of Trading Options Network. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and get right down into it. So, first off, the calendar, the economic calendar, the numbers released today. So this was interesting. The PMI was actually lower than expected, but the new home sales was better than expected. And I think the new home sales had a little bit more oomph in the market today than the PMI numbers, because obviously if you're watching this, then you probably already know that the S&P definitely had a nice gap up. And then continued moving up throughout the day for the most part and finished near its highs. So we'll get into more about this chart here in a second, but let's go back to earnings. I'm doing this a little bit later after the bell has already rung because I thought it was quite interesting. Let's go ahead and actually pull up Visa here really quick. All right, so if we look at Visa, I'm actually going to go to the 1 minute chart just so we can see what happened after hours. So obviously, Visa's earnings are, well, they're good. I should say they're doing well. They're up a little over 2.5% after the market closed. But the one thing that I actually kind of found funny in this is actually, let me pull it up on my phone. I have it here on my phone. The news article. It says, oh, where'd it go? Oh shoot, it's gone now. Well, my guess is they probably changed the article name because it looked really silly. But in a nutshell, it said, Visa rises after strong consumer spending or something along those lines. And the first thing I thought of was, hold on, is it really strong consumer spending? Or is it because everything is so freaking expensive these days with inflation that people are going into more and more credit card debt? So again, I couldn't find it now. Suddenly that article is gone, but maybe it's because they decided, hey, maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. But nonetheless, obviously when inflation is high and people start going into credit card debt, it is going to obviously help the credit card companies. So I'm not surprised to see Visa going up here. The one that actually I was really excited to see was what Tesla was going to do. And as you can see, it went up out the gates as soon as the market closed. It's up almost 10% in the aftermarkets. I haven't actually looked at the numbers. I haven't read about the future expectations for Tesla or anything like that. But my guess is Tesla's been beaten down so much, as you can see, that any shred of positivity was going to be not taken lightly. And clearly it hasn't been. So like I said, it's up nearly 10%. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Obviously, if you listened to my training yesterday, I was expecting that, I'm not going to say Tesla and Visa, I wasn't necessarily expecting them to be down, but I was anticipating that the earnings this quarter were going to be a little bit weaker and we were going to see a little bit more of a pullback. Well, so far, I've been wrong. Of course, if I was right every time, I probably would be sitting on a beach somewhere. I'm not right every time. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I've mentioned that numerous times. We'll see what happens with more companies that are reporting earnings. And, we'll go from there. That being said, actually, let's go back here really quick. So tomorrow, we're going to have some biggins. We got Facebook, Thermo Fisher, IBM, ServiceNow, AT&T. I'm not really familiar with Lam Research Corporation, but clearly their market cap is quite high. Boeing, Boston Scientific Corporation, Waste Management, Chipotle, CME. If we get down here a little bit further, O'Reilly. These are all big companies, all reporting tomorrow. I was looks about more in the morning, but of course the big one, Meta, Facebook, that's going to be after hours. Same with IBM and ServiceNow. So 3 of the top 4 are going to be in the afternoon. So we'll see what happens with the market tomorrow and with a lot of these companies that are reporting tomorrow. I'm excited, but nonetheless, let's talk about this chart. So again, earlier I mentioned that we gapped up and then we continued to move up throughout the day for the most part, and then we finished near the day's high. Well, last Friday or Saturday, actually it was Saturday when I did the end of week recap, I was actually expecting a pretty weak Monday. It was actually a little bit stronger than I had expected, but I did state that I was expecting Tuesday and Wednesday to possibly be our bounce off of this low because, again, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red days in a row, so I was definitely expecting a bounce. This day today has clearly prevented the 20-day moving average from coming all the way down to the 50-day moving average. And according to this, if it weren't for all of the companies that were going to be reporting earnings tomorrow and throughout the week still, if it weren't for earnings, I would suggest that, hey, we have at least one more green day where we're going to go ahead and touch that 50-day moving average and then continue downwards. That can happen. But again, with all the companies that are going to be reporting earnings tomorrow before the bell, and then, of course, after the market closes, we can very, very easily see the opposite. And it could just totally fall apart tomorrow and then throughout the day, and then continue more so in the afternoon. Again, we don't know. Earnings is that, when we have earnings reporting, especially the big week like this week where earnings are, or I should say a lot of the bigger companies are reporting earnings, God only knows. God only knows. Sometimes it's better to just hold cash and wait for this week to get over. I'm not going to lie, though. As I mentioned, and I've mentioned it multiple times, I still think 480 is kind of our target drop, maybe even slightly below that. But I'm expecting the market to at least go ahead and retest the 480 level before we really kind of rise above these. But again, can't stress it enough. Earnings can change anything. So I did actually add quite a bit of bearish positions today, and I will, if it is green tomorrow, I will probably add more tomorrow as well. And for every 2 or 3 bear positions I will add, I'll probably want to add a bull position, almost like insurance in a way. I kind of mentioned that last week with Meta. But that being said, I'm really, really excited to see what the rest of this week is going to put out for us. Again, I'm thinking that we're going to retest the 50 tomorrow. Again, unless all the earnings pre-market come out terrible and then we just plummet throughout the day. Also, if tomorrow does show weakness, then we'll probably see the 20-day at least touching, if not even crossing the 50-day moving average tomorrow. And if it doesn't do it tomorrow, it will most definitely would on Thursday. That being said, one thing I did just notice right now as I was looking at this, if I just go down here to the bottom, look at the volume for the last couple of days. Okay. We've had a pretty nice green day. I mean, we were literally up over 1% today. NASDAQ was actually up higher. The reason I'm pointing this out, though, with the volume is that the volume was actually below average. So these selling days had more volume than these 2 buying days. So that tells me that the buyers have not really come out too much yet, or that the sellers are not converting to becoming buyers. I still think, again, that 480 range is my target for this pullback. And again, if earnings are terrible, we can just fly right through that. But time will tell. I'm excited to see what happens this week. But that being said, I don't really have anything else for you. So I'm going to let you guys get going. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and we'll talk more tomorrow.